President Obama right now is practicing CYA, and that's not a song by the Village People. He's sending a few hundred more military personnel to Iraq, bringing the total to just under 4,000. But Iraq's the wrong place to confront ISIS. The real campaign should take place in Syria, where ISIS has command and control in the city of Raqqa.
So that from the Talking Points memo last night, Bill O'Reilly and his plan to take down ISIS, saying we should instead focus on Syria. Texas Mac Thornberry is the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. He's been dealing with this issue for quite some time. And, sir, welcome back to America's Newsroom. First of all, on the president's decision, you support it or not?
I think it's a step, but the truth is half measures taken too late are not going to make a difference, and that's what this is. I think, as the clip said, the president's just trying to run out the clock. He is not taking steps that are going to make a real difference against ISIS.
Well, if he's running out the clock and ISIS remains after he leaves, ISIS is on his watch, not the next president. Now, make sense of that. Why would he want to do that?
Well, because he's not willing to take the action to start to deal with this problem. And so I think you're right. The next president is going to be left with a whale of a mess. And if you just think back a little bit, we're just about exactly a year ago, the city of Mosul fell. 9 months ago, the president said we want to degrade and destroy ISIS, and we're going to start bombing them. And what's happened in those last 9 months is ISIS controls more territory in Syria and Iraq than they did before. But even more disturbingly, there's more people from Pakistan all the way across the Middle East to North Africa that are pledging allegiance to ISIS. So their ideology has spread as their territory has spread. And we don't have a strategy to deal with it.
Okay, all right. Now, you know how reluctant this commander-in-chief has been to go back into Iraq, right? I mean, we agree on that. So what is the right strategy? What should be done?
Well, just a couple things. We tie our own hands to make even the people we send into Iraq less effective than they could be. For example, we don't allow the trainers to go into the field with those that they have trained. So it's kind of like a basketball coach who has to stay in the locker room but can never get out to the court. That's what we do with our trainers. We've been bombing since last September. We just drop a few bombs here and there, maybe a handful a day. We are so concerned about collateral damage and other effects that we have not made the bombing effective.
Yeah, you're arguing that we're not committed to this fight. What about the idea that O'Reilly shared about going into Raqqa, which is their headquarters? I mean, some people have argued that you could land at that airstrip at nighttime and take them out in 3 days. I don't know if that's possible. That's what some military people argue. Is Raqqa the focus, or should it be?
Well, it's not the answer, but it's just another example of my point that our airstrikes have been ineffective because we are so overly cautious, we're not willing to do what it takes to make a real difference on the ground. You got to fight them in both Syria and Iraq, and this president hasn't been willing to do either.
Well, in the meantime, you've got a bill called the Defense Department Authorization Bill. It looks like the Senate has enough votes to pass that. It also looks like the president might veto that.
Yeah,
is that going to happen?
Well, just think about this for a second, Bill. So we're battling ISIS. Russia and China are more aggressive. We're in the midst of negotiations with Iran where we're trying to convince them that they need to voluntarily give up their nuclear weapons or we could take military action. And what does the president do? He threatens to veto the defense bill that gives him exactly the amount of money he asked for because he's trying to force Congress to give him more money for the IRS and EPA. That just cannot leave Putin or ISIS quaking in their boots to have a president that takes that approach.
Right, so do you believe he will veto it then? Yes or no?
I hope not. You know, he's threatened to veto defense bills before. I hope he doesn't. But it does not help what we were talking about with ISIS or anybody else for the president to be against a defense bill that he asked for.
Mac Thornberry, thank you for your time.
Thank
From
you,
Capitol Hill today, we'll see what happens. Time's a ticking on that. Thank you, sir. Here's Mark.